Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out The Avengers issues 5 and 6 by Jed MacKay and Ivan Fiorelli. MacKay continues his Ashen Combine story and concludes it in these 2 issues, which is 2 issues longer than it probably should have been. The books are filled with some really neat ideas, and as I've said in past reviews, I really like the Ashen Combine. They're an interesting inverse to the current Avengers roster, and they each offer up a unique challenge for each member to deal with. The plot they are involved in is just so watery and barely there. It was a very predictable plot, with the Avengers battling the Ashen Combine across the world, and of course they lose, but then after a quick pep talk and rally, they manage to beat the villains back and imprison them again. This really should have just finished up in 3, maybe 4 issues at most. What we do have across these 6 issues is well written. There's some great action beats and smart use of heroes and their powers, but it's also stretched out for what I can assume so the book can fill out the first volume of the hardcover that's coming out. Had we actually spent some time with the Combine, dived a little deeper into their backstories, their origins, their 6 issues would be fine, but most we got about their past come from the Impossible City, who over these 2 issues is revealed to be a sentient floating city made by some unknown heroes and enslaved by the Ashen Combine when they originally escaped prison. The city angle is definitely the most interesting, as Captain America and Black Panther are the ones to convince it to live on and fight back against its enslavers. It was a great choice to have these 2 do that, since Jed was continuing the stories about T'Challa's betrayal of the Avengers and his run-ins with Sam over in his book, and this forced them to work together and put aside all of their differences. The plot also led to the city joining the Avengers as both a member of the team and their mobile base. Being the team doesn't really actually have a base right now, and it's just kind of working out of the Jarvis Lounge, which we've seen in past issues of this and in Avengers Incorporated. Having a base floating around the Earth in orbit is kind of giving me JLA Watchtower vibes, and I'm looking forward to the stories they're going to develop with this city, since it is alluded to that it was created by unknown heroes, and I'm guessing we're going to find out who those heroes are in a upcoming arc. Jed does wrap it up all nicely at the end so he can move on to another plot, and issue 6 also features a neat little backup story by Kalina Vasquez about Firebird, who aids Carol and Sam while they are looking for what they assume is a tribulation event, something Jed has been setting up in the first issues of this book. Instead, they find some UFOs and a lost little girl who Firebird ends up taking under her wing and looking after. It's a nice, easily digestible little palate cleanser to end out the first 6 issues, and if the backups for this book end up being a regular occurrence, I'd like to see them tackle more obscure, smaller heroes who are Avenger adjacent or were part of the Avengers at some point in history, and it'd be fun just to catch up with some heroes we've not seen in a long time. It'd be a good jumping on point for some people who might not know about these heroes who were Avengers at one point. Ivan Fiorelli takes over these 2 issues from C.F. Villa, and his work really fits in with Villa's previous issues and the aesthetic he was going for. The action is kinetic and fast-paced, filled with lots of explosions and bright colors, and every Avenger gets a full page to shine across both these issues, which is really no small feat, being that writers and artists tend to focus on characters they really like or characters they know are very popular, so for a book to actually give equal footing to all of the Avengers across these issues is really cool. The finale to the first arc of Jed MacKay's Avengers was a little drawn out, stretching a rather bare-bones story way past where it should have finished up, and despite some great art, action, and hints at some really interesting story beats throughout the 2 issues here, there really just isn't enough to hold it all together in the end, and it just kind of finishes up and peters out. I'm going to give both these issues a 5 out of 10.